Saigon. Shit. I'm still only in Saigon.
And we are back. The second episode of Mission Statements, a Delta Bravo Urban Exploration Team podcast with my man. I'm going to call you the underboss because you're like the second in charge, the second legitimate OG, because there was Danny and you.
Right.
He said it himself. So,
Good.
the underboss, my man Knocko. How you
What's
doing?
up, top Jimmy? How the heck are you? I'm doing great.
Top Jimmy, big top Jimbo.
It's funny if you you mentioned underboss. If you this all goes back to Danny Boy. If you listen to episode 1 of how this whole thing kicked off, well, his right hand man in La Coca, Slade, did a song called Sam Song, and the introduction to that song is by our mutual friend Mike McColgan, who founded founded Dropkick Murphys and then later Street Dogs, and he refers to me as the consigliere. So
Nice.
I've always seen that as my role in life. You know, I'm always the mediator and squashing beefs, and running interference, and being the fixer. So underboss, it's the number 2 I get, but yeah, I'm definitely the consigliere. So check out that song for the little name drop. It's pretty funny.
Absolutely. Shout out to Slade. Fucking guy's incredible.
Yes, he is.
Yeah. So, I mean, it only makes sense. Like I said it with Danny, it only made sense for me to kick off this new podcast with him. I mean, who else would I have on first? And then it only makes sense to me is to have you. And then next up will be Steve Mona, the 3 originals. So maybe your little penchant for squashing beef and being like maybe the most level-headed guy is maybe because you're a Los Angeles police detective boss man.
Yes.
Yes.
That's at work, at home. It's squashing beefs and mediating, putting people together, being an ambassador. Yeah, that's always been my role of going back as a kid, being a peacemaker, but then also being like the ringmaster of trying to create little crews and having fun with that. So that's all the origins of that stuff goes back to childhood, and it still continues to this day.
That's awesome, dude. One of the good guys. One of the fucking good guys.
Right. It's a work
One
in
of the
progress.
good guys. It's pretty much out there and well known that you're one of the good guys.
One day at a time, right? That's how we try to do it.
That's how we do. I mean, what else? What other choice do we have, my man? So now back to real quick with episode 1. Danny had mentioned, because he said that I met him through this podcast thing, and it was face to face when I was doing the other one. And he had mentioned you, and he had mentioned Mona, but he had mentioned you and said that he met you on the internet, which I don't know if I was actually hip to that or not. I might have been, I don't know. But it kind of was like, kind of thought about that for a second. How the hell did that happen? And give me the dynamic of you and Danny before you guys met into how you met.
Yeah, that was it. It came about due to pretty much Steve Mona. Steve Mona, as you'll learn on episode 3, great friend of all of ours, our brother in arms.
Yeah.
He works for the Transit Authority originally, and so did my old man. He was on the civilian side, my old man. Steve was on the sworn side in the PD. But common folks have gravitate toward each other, so they're both like proper madmen in their own right, U.S. Army vets, and so they knew each other. So he, my old man, would talk about, hey, there's this guy Steve Mona, lieutenant at the Vandal Squad, great guy. Blah, blah, blah. I would just hear this name, and then online we had a lot of mutual friends, Steve and I, and then we became friends. And then how the beginnings of social media, everyone would start going back and forth on each other's respective pages. Yeah. And then I would see this name, Danny O'Connor, and I would see Steve putting up House of Pain stuff, this and that. and something clicked into my head back in the 90s when I was working like an anti-gang unit, and Danny's name came up in a debrief of a Valley gang. This guy was talking about, he was going through his origin story of growing up in San Fernando Valley. And this kid mentioned, he goes, yeah, I don't know how it came up, but he said, yeah, this guy, Danny boy, he's in the House of Pain. He lumped me up for whatever, he did this and that. I was like, well, I'm like, wait a second. And I'm like, House of Pain, like, at that phase when they came onto the scene, obviously everyone knew who they were. They knew all the songs, but I wasn't entrenched into hip hop anymore. I was in a different phase at that time. So I knew of the band, but I didn't know who was in it. And I was always under the impression they were, New York dudes.
Right.
So I was like, wait a second, like from the House of Pain, but how is they out here in San Fernando Valley and what have you? And then, later on, once we linked up and found out, his origin story. So we were going back and forth, and obviously, since we all have the same common interests, there was I don't know, we might have been on the same page on something. I forgot what it was, but it was Kenneth Anger related. And for those of you who aren't privy to who Kevin Anger was, avant-garde film director that influenced Scorsese and all the greats, way ahead of his time. He was into the whole Aleister Crowley thing. He was connected to Manson. I mean, you can go a great deep dive on who he is and who he's connected to, but somehow everything in life goes back to Charles Manson somehow.
Yeah, you said, you mentioned Aleister Crowley and you mentioned Charles Manson, and you got me. I'm in.
Yeah. It's that's a whole episode, of how I met Kenneth Anger and all that. But long story longer, we ended up saying, hey, Kenneth Anger is doing a little performance concert type little thing downtown LA, and I said, oh, let's roll. So we never met each other, and when we finally met at the event, it was kind of like, you're trying to suss each other out, like, hey, I know this guy's cool, but I don't know who he is. I've never met him before. Who is this guy? Was he really in the House of Pain? And
was he really in House of Pain?
Yeah, you just don't, yeah,
of course. Yeah,
this pre Tinder or whatever it is that's going on right now. But so we're just trying to feel each other out, and we're having a good time at the event. It was awesome seeing Kenneth Anger and his right hand man Brian Butler. He's doing the theremin like Jimmy Page and doing all this mysticism stuff. Is unbelievable. So we ended up talking and ended up saying, hey, let's go up to Spahn Ranch and check that out. So that was like our first proper mandate.
How long after that Kenneth Anger thing did this happen?
Maybe it might have been a week.
Okay.
A week later, we're like, hey, I think Danny originally went to Spahn Ranch with another guy we ended up having on later on in the Delta Bravo show, a guy named Michael Channels, who is like the heir apparent to Charles Manson's will, and it's being contested in court.
Yeah, I've heard of
going
him.
Back and forth.
Yeah,
great guy, very interesting dude. So he brought Danny originally to Spahn Ranch, and then Danny likes to spread love and show, bring people along for the ride. Said, hey, we got to go down to Spahn Ranch. And I was like, yeah, let's do it.
So on my bucket list, dude. It's on my bucket list so bad.
You'll get there.
I will. Eventually, I will definitely get there. After this whole big road trip that we're going on, it's going to, the next big thing is, I don't care. I'm going to fly back and forth, but we got to hit California for like a minimum of 10 days out there, because there's so much shit that I need to see.
And before you do that, you got to read the book. Have you read the book Chaos by Tom O'Neill?
No, I have not. I heard it's incredible though.
It's overwhelming. There's so much information. This guy researched it for like, I think 20 years it took him to write this book. It is so jam-packed. It'll have your mind spinning. Like I just got to bite off like a chapter at a time. But it goes through a whole Manson's history, which will just blow your mind of stuff you never knew, and about the CIA and the parole system, the federal parole system. It's incredible. But anyway,
that Manson could be a whole 5-hour podcast. 100%.
And it should be.
And it absolutely should be.
So yeah, we we kicked it off with Manson, and then Long Lost Brothers from there, and
Wow.
and then this whole thing got created from that. So
that's fucking awesome. I didn't
Patel,
know that story. I didn't know that you guys like bonded at Spahn Ranch for the most part. That's
right. Awesome. Yeah, what better place, yeah?
Yeah, what better place? Exactly. I want to bond with somebody at Spahn Ranch.
Yeah.
Well, and then, I mean, obviously, correct me if I'm wrong, bro. Like he was on tour with Coca Nostra, and then he found the outside his house, and then he went back to LA, and then he came up with the logo and the name. Were you involved in that whatsoever? Like was he talking with you about creating the actual Delta Bravo team?
No, we were both kind of, if you like go way back in our pages, we were both kind of doing the same thing, and but without a name. It was just like, hey, I'm here at, and that's like what he did at the Outsider's house and at Kane's Ballroom. Like, hey, check this out, I'm at this place. And then once we started hitting it hard, the idea sprung in his mind of this needs its own proper page and what have you.
Yeah.
So he was the mastermind of. It was originally called like Delta Bravo Sierra DBS, like Danny Boy's bullshit.
Right.
And then it kind of morphed from there. So yeah, he's the mastermind as far as the imagery and
the branding.
Like you heard, branding for a better word.
Yeah.
And I would come up with the intel and do the transportation, and then sometimes security when we went to dicey places or whatever. So yeah, it was pretty interesting, and it became just the pop culture detectives.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, I've said it before. It's like, it's funny how, like, if I could get all, how the universe works and stuff like that. But like, I've always been interested in this kind of stuff, even as a little kid. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I've said it. I think I even said it on episode 1. Like, as a little kid watching the original Friday the 13th movie, wondering, I know it's probably not called Crystal Lake, but I wonder where they filmed this movie. Like, where is this actual lake? And I'm like 6 years old thinking about that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And eventually, now I've been there, I don't know how many times. And then, I mean, fast forward friggin' 30 something years. Next thing you know, like, I become friends with Danny, and then he has this whole thing, and it's an outlet, it gives me an excuse also, like, to go, especially during COVID and all that stuff, an excuse to get the hell out of the house and go do something that I legitimately enjoy. I hit like 4 spots this morning before I even went to work in Manhattan. Like, I left early on purpose to go hit spots.
Well, that was the commander's intent. Like, when we were talking offline, that was the purpose of it, was to inspire others to get outside, learn about who they are, where they are, and what came before them. So what you described, that's exactly what we intended it for. It wasn't like to floss, like, hey, check this out, I'm here. It was like, well, first we wanted to see it, but then secondly, and the main foundation was to let others enjoy it. And that's why we always provided the address and the intel behind it, because we wanted to spread love the Brooklyn way. So I say mission accomplished.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I say that all the time. People are like, oh, I've seen things like that, and like there's pages all over Instagram of abandoned places and this and urban, but they'll just be like a picture of like a dilapidated castle, and it's like, where is this? Like, you don't even know what country it's in. You know what I mean? It could be in New Jersey or it could be in Sweden. Like, I have no idea. They don't give you nothing. So what we do, and it bothers me. It bothers me. So, and people see, like, on the Delta Bravo group on Facebook, when people don't put the logo and people don't put the address, it bothers me. Like, Danny, I'm requesting to become an admin on that page, because I can't.
Every group has an enforcer. You got to enforce the rules. That's
my God, it bothers me so much. I don't know why. You know why? Because I appreciate it, and I legitimately love doing this stuff, where it's like, there's a reason why, quote unquote, Delta Bravo does it better. Like, what are you doing? Like, if you're going out and doing all this stuff, what does it take to put the logo and the address? Like, it's a part of what we do. So include it.
Well, it's a standard. It's a standard, and it's not for us. It's for people that are enjoying it. So you want a proper layout. You want to know where it is, who directed it, whatever. A YouTube clip if you have it. just do it right. Of course, it's it's the right thing to do.
Right. And it's also, it's like, even if somebody who happens to be on the group page or finds out about what we do and doesn't necessarily go out and hit spots like we do, maybe, I don't know, maybe they're a huge fan of, I don't know, like today I did the movie Marathon Man. I've been on a Marathon Man kick for some reason.
Yes, one of my favorites.
Dude, I just hit the spot where Laurence Olivier, where the knife comes out and he cuts the guy's throat on the corner. Like, I walk past that block all the time. I didn't realize exactly where it was. It's on West 47th and 6th Avenue.
Jewelry Row there, right?
What's that?
That used to be like Diamond Row or Jewelry Row?
Yeah, it still is. Yeah, it's Diamond Jewelry Way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That used to be, I don't know if it still is, that was like the most heavily armed street in New York City.
It probably is, because it's still the Diamond District.
Yeah. There was so many plainclothes cops on that street, private security, con men, thieves. It was a safe and dangerous street at the same time, if that makes sense.
Oh, 100%. You're only a couple of blocks off of friggin' Times Square, or off the heart of Times Square. Yeah, but I walked on that block, I don't know how many times, but I put the address, what the building is right behind them and all that stuff. Maybe because someone's a huge fan of that movie and they happen to work or be in New York City and be like, wow, like this is where that happened. Like they don't necessarily, it's just like you said, spreading love and, letting people know where they're at. Because I just said, I walk past those blocks, I don't know how many times. I work on 45th and Vanderbilt. So I'm all over the place, but every other day I find a thing on a block that I walk down every single day that I go to work. There's so much,
yes.
And, you know what I mean? So
it's funny, Danny and I actually did a Marathon Man location. It was filmed in downtown LA. It's I forgot the exact part. I think Roy Scheider's in it, but it's that orange globe thing.
Yes.
Not globe, cube.
Yes.
And it's right off the sidewalk. It's kind of like you'd say it's like a plaza, like an office plaza.
Yeah.
And I'm taking a picture of it, and security comes over and starts screaming on me. And so I'm like, excuse me? They're like, oh, no pictures. Like, last time I checked, is a private, is a public sidewalk here. There's no fences, nothing. The guy's like, no pictures. Like, I don't want to, bust the guy's balls. I'm like, hey, I'm almost done. Just gonna take a couple of pictures. And the guy's like, storms away and huffing and puffing. I'm like, sometimes you have great experiences. Sometimes you have you meet some interesting people that aren't down with the program.
Yeah.
But,
well, sometimes we look odd. I think sometimes we look a little odd. Like I'll be taking a picture of, it'll be like a random apartment building, like on some side street in Brooklyn. And it's like, people like, and then they look up and like, what the hell is he taking a picture of? But whatever. Like I've pretty much, there's only one time where I had almost one little issue. And that was not too long ago. I was in Coney Island and I did a salt and pepper video. And it was like, I don't know, 20 something street and like Mermaid Avenue. And it was in the middle of the weekend and it was nice out and there was a lot of people out. And I get out of the car and I'm on the corner and there's a couple of people standing outside of a bodega. There's another one maybe 20 feet behind them. There's a couple of people down the block. I might have been in the middle of, I don't know, maybe some business transactions or something like that.
Sure,
and there I am looking the way I do up on the corner, just taking pictures. And next thing you know, I hear them all like, yo. And one guy is pointing at me and yelling at the guys down the block, pointing, yo, what the fuck are you doing, boy? And I was just like, and I got in the car, like, they were not happy that I was taking pictures of their corner. But other than that, I've had pretty good experiences. I explain to people, listen, I'm just recreating this. And a lot of people find that interesting.
Yes, a little explanation goes a long way.
Yeah.
But makes it all fun anyway, the little danger element.
Of course. Now, you said a little while ago that you were like security when you go to dicey areas. What any kind of precarious situations you and Danny Boy find yourself in any particular spots?
Oh man, one of our mutual buddies is out here from Paris, Fadi, and he writes screenplays and he's an author, which is a great dude. So he was out here doing some filming locations, and he wanted to hit some cartel bars and Mexican drug cartels. So
what the fuck, dude? All
So I
right.
was like, yeah. I'm like, I'll take you wherever you want to go. So we ended up going down to South Central, these like hardcore, Sinaloan cartel bars where you pull up into the parking lot, just nothing but XL Denali's, and they're probably all bullet, with bullet resistant doors and windows and what have you. And so yeah, we walk in there, and it's the needle off the record, and everyone's staring at us. And then Danny's walking behind us. He's like, "Man, you guys are gonna get me killed in here." I was like, "I don't know," like Danny's funny, was alpha male, 6'7", blah blah blah, but he's usually the guy that fights them, that could fight the best, wants to fight the least. It's how it usually goes.
Sure.
So he didn't want any trouble, but we went into this hardcore bar, and no one spoke English. Like our French buddies, the ones speaking Spanish to these dudes, and the guy at the door immediately, he's like, "Oh, policia, yeah, what's going on?" We're like, "Oh no, we just want to take some pictures in here," and it's like, "Oh, okay, senor, come in," and then and all these guys are on the, they got all this money laid out. I'm sure that everyone's all strapped up, and they're just not moving an inch.
But then there's a cop in there taking pictures.
And then Danny's there, and Danny's like, he's like, "Yo, hurry up, get these pictures, let's get the hell out of here." We're like, and me and Fadi are like, no, relax, just let's order a drink or something. So we ordered some half-ass drink, and then Danny just like, boom, bangs it out. "All right, you're done. Let's go. Hell out of here. We're gonna get killed." So
that's awesome.
Yeah, we had some good fun places.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I was like perusing your pages and stuff like that, and like there's some shit, man. Like when we were speaking before I pressed record, like it was the first time I saw it today, and also to piggyback off of Manson, it was somewhere in one of the suburbs of LA. There's a picture of you taking a picture of Lynette Squeaky Fromme's signature in the concrete from 1960.
Isn't that wild?
See, shit like that. I love that shit, man. Some people could care less about things like that. I find that shit fascinating for whatever reason. The history I don't know what it is.
Even if it doesn't have history, I just like looking at sidewalks when I'm walking, a lot, especially if it's the same streets I've been traversing a lot, and you just start looking for other things. Yeah. And you look down at the sidewalk to see what's written on there. And it's amazing how old some of these are. Like you'll see the Van Halen logo.
Yes.
Van Halen logo, Bob, 1979. Like, damn, that thing's been down there 79. Or the Led Zeppelin logo. Like when you're kids, you always put up your favorite bands.
Isn't there a Van Halen logo outside of like the Van Halen house or something like that?
In Pasadena, where they grew up, by a liquor store, I believe, where they used to get their drinks. Alex and Eddie, they wrote their own. It was them. They wrote their names in the sidewalk, and when Eddie died, it became a shrine.
Wow.
Just those things I love seeing. As it's a part of history. Whether it's all unknown people, but it's just cool to see, how long it's been there and what it is. And you think back to, these people know this is still there, and what the backstory is.
Yeah, especially from the one from 1960. I mean, dude, we're talking, what is it? 62 years that signature has been in that concrete. And I'm surprised, knowing the history of Manson and her. I mean, she tried to kill the president. You know what I mean? Actually, she tried to kill the president. Here's a fun fact that you might already know. Lynette Squeaky Fromme tried to kill Gerald Ford on the exact day that I was born.
Oh, on the same day.
Maybe that's why I have a weird appreciation for Manson. I don't know. September 5th, 75. Yep.
And was that when Roosevelt Rosie Greer, the man with two heads, put his hand between like the barrel of the weapon?
I don't know. It was the one time where Lynette pulled out a revolver and pointed it at the president. And
I think, once it's over, check that out. Put in Roosevelt Rosie Greer assassination attempt. I think he was one of the guys that helped thwart it.
To help thwart the assassination of the president.
Yes.
Thwart.
It's one of those bad words. Is the New York accent just can't get out.
No, it doesn't. Thwart. It's too much going on. Yeah.
May the thwart be with you.
Yeah, man. So I'm like I said, I'm surprised it's not like filled in or whatever. On this road trip that we're going on soon, I know it's a fact that I seen it, but I seen it online, but I have to see it in person. It was and it's funny because Johnny Depp today won his whole defamation thing, but it's Johnny Depp wrote in the concrete outside of a store that the little store that he quote unquote worked in What's Eating Gilbert Grape. It's in Austin, Texas. And it's out.
Okay.
Yeah, I know exactly where it is. That's the first spot that I'm going to hit once I get out of the hotel, once I land in Austin. Is the tower where DiCaprio climbs.
Okay.
But yeah, no,
I haven't seen that in ages.
Oh, it's a great movie. It's an oddball movie, but DiCaprio is a genius in it. He's ridiculous.
I mean, has that kid made a bad movie, DiCaprio? It just seems like
I really don't think he has.
Never misses.
No, never. I can't name a movie that was terrible. Wolf of Wall Street is amazing. Like Basketball Diaries, amazing. What's Eating Gilbert Grape? I mean, Catch Me If You Can. All great stuff. I wasn't too big of a fan of the most recent Netflix one. What is it? Don't Look Up.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, it's a made for TV movie, so it's like you're not expecting much, right?
But it's not DiCaprio's fault. DiCaprio's role itself, he did what he was supposed to do. It was just the movie itself. I was like, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you'll have a great time in Austin. I just came back from there a couple of months ago.
Really? Yeah, there's so much stuff that I want to hit there. I wish I had more time, but I'm just going to consolidate, and I had to pick and choose a whole bunch of things because I'm going to be doing a lot of driving, dude, from Austin all the way down Texas up to Oklahoma, up through and driving all the way back to Brooklyn.
Wow. That's a great summer trip.
I have like 15 spots that I'm going to hit. It's
the Motel 6 tour.
Well, actually, we're flying in and one-way ticket to Austin, and then I'm going to a Motel 6 so to get like whatever rest, and then I have a cabin booked at the gas station from the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I booked the Greaser hideout in Tulsa, so I can't wait for that. I'm going to be spending a night with my drill instructor in Texas. Which is
a great episode. I love that one.
Bro, it's just a surreal thing, man. Just very surreal. I got a Oklahoma City, I have a hotel booked, and Graceland, I have a hotel booked. It's all pretty much all said and done and mapped out. But yeah, so I was saying, like there's some awesome spots like Mickey Mantle's house you hit. The picture that I posted today, you're in the M.A.S.H truck.
yeah, that was great.
What was that about? Like from the show M.A.S.H?
Yeah, right. It was like a show that when you were a kid you hated because your parents were watching it, and then as you got older you kind of like you understood the nuances of it. It was a pretty interesting show when you think about it. It was like a wartime comedy.
Yeah,
I think it was either that or Hogan's Heroes might have been like the first shows that depicted a comedy show during a wartime era, which is pretty interesting when you think about it.
Yeah.
So hearing about that M.A.S.H, that some of the set was still there up in Malibu, and I was like, wow. I'm like, Malibu? And you think it as a kid, it was supposed to be Korea. Of course, they wouldn't be filming a comedy show in Korea. Right. So what better place to stand in for Korea than Malibu? So
is that stuff still there?
There was a big fire that went through there. I think Danny talked about in episode 1, and they might have brought some things back, maybe, fake the funk a little bit, as I haven't been back since the fire.
Yeah.
But it's a great freaking hike. And to see all those things brought back a ton of memories of, sitting there suffering, watching that show with my parents and
the music would give me anxiety as a little kid because I think it came on like late at night. It was like almost time to go to bed or something like that. If that music came on and you seen the helicopters, it used to give me anxiety. I don't know why.
Well, I'm glad I'm not the only one. The one that gave me anxiety was the 60 Minutes.
Yes, because that was Sunday night.
Oh, and then all I'm thinking about is the book report or whatever I didn't do or test I had coming up, and I was like, this is like the countdown to the electric chair.
It was
horrible. And it was horrible hearing that opening.
Yes, if you kids don't know, you go on YouTube or whatever. I'm showing you 60 Minutes, the show, the intro. It was a fucking stopwatch, and it would give me anxiety as a kid too, because it came on at like 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock on Sunday night back then. And it was like, oh, I got school in the morning. I'm going to be in trouble. I didn't do my homework. All that.
And the content itself, you didn't give a fuck about the content. You're like, talking about, what's Reagan's doing. You're like, I don't care about any of this. And I got to sit through this. And the time is literally ticking, and I'm screwed in the morning. So
yeah, and I have to watch it because my fucking burnt out father wants to watch and see what Andy Rooney has to say.
Right. Don't turn it off. Andy's coming on.
Andy's coming on at the end.
Yeah.
We're showing our age, bro.
And you only had one TV, maybe two, but if you were lucky. The kids, how they could curate what they want to watch. Man, how blessed are they for that?
Yeah. They have no idea, dude. It's funny also, real quick, to piggyback more Manson shit, because you said if you were lucky if you had two TVs in the house. I got into a crazy argument with my sister when I was little because she wanted to watch some Brady Bunch special or something like that was on TV. It was like maybe like a movie or something like that. But at the same exact time, I had never seen it before, but I looked in the TV guide and it was the first time I ever seen it was Helter Skelter, the TV Helter Skelter movie. So I'm arguing with her because she wanted to watch her Brady Bunch thing on the big TV downstairs, the color TV, and not the small 12-inch black and white up in my parents' room. Yes. So I guess my mother, because I'm her son, my mother sided with me. I don't know why, let me watch Manson shit. I don't know how old I was, young. And she went upstairs and watched her Brady Bunch shit on the black and white TV. We were lucky we had two TVs.
Yes. The second TV was never color. And
no, never color. And it was always smaller.
Always. But I got to, my old man was, into 60 Minutes and M.A.S.H and all those war joints, but he, was responsible for Delta Bravo in a way because he was the one that when we go on, like walkabouts, he would take me, come out of, walk out of the house on the weekends or whatever, or after work, and we'd carouse the neighborhood. He'd go to bar, have a belt, but in between those walks, he would point out different things where different things happen. This guy got whacked over here. This was Phil Rizzuto's house from the Yankees. This is where the French Connection was filmed.
Wow.
This is where, this is where this was filmed, Stranger Among Us. And so at the time, I didn't know it. It was like, I thought everything was filmed, either in Korea or in Los Angeles.
Right.
It was like, wow, things were filmed literally in our neighborhood.
Yeah.
And that sparked my interest. And then him working for the Transit Authority, he literally had the keys for the city. So we would do our own urbacks. He would show me all these defunct subway stations and different little, little crevices where the public wasn't allowed into. Yeah. And so it was exploring the city from, the dark side.
Exclusive access, man. That's
exclusive.
Awesome. Yeah.
So
if people don't realize it, we didn't put it out there. If people don't know, a lot of people that are listening and or watching probably might know, but you're originally from Queens.
Yes.
Okay. Because we didn't mention that. So somebody might, because I had to think about it. I was like, yeah, that's right. You're from fucking Queens. French Connection. All over the place.
Yeah. Yeah. Ridgewood, Glendale, Queens. So, so he spurred that, that nomad explorer gene. And then, further like indoctrinated to me of having friends from all walks of life, the right side of the law, the other side of the law, of just, if you're a good person, didn't matter who you were. He was friends with politicians, Hells Angels, priests. It ran the gamut. So I continue that legacy, and I think it's my greatest wealth in life is my friends and the associates I've made throughout the years. And I say collect memories, not material objects. So that's always been my mantra. So that goes directly to his lineage.
Yeah, that's that's a powerful statement, man. Because it's very true. It's like at the end of the day, who cares about material things? You know what I mean? It's the people that are in your life that you're close to and you're friends with, legit friends with, not internet buddies. You know what I mean? But like people who. I mean, listen, I've met several people through, like I met Mona on the internet. I met you on the internet. You know what I mean? So I can't really say that. So but it's at the end of the day, it's like, what does whatever materialistic item, it's whatever. So collect memories, do things, and yeah, man, it's how could I put it? Maybe I'm just a crotchety old man at this point, but it just seems like that's lacking a lot nowadays.
It's just, we've went through all those stages, and then we saw what really means a lot to us and what doesn't. And all those, the cars and gold chains, whatever it was that you're into, you just learned, that all that could disappear, and I don't give a crap. But the friendships I've made and the people I've met and the places I've seen and things I've done, that's what really counts. So
yeah, 100%.
you just worked out those kinks that, when you get to a certain age.
100%. Absolutely, man. When was the last time? Are you like semi-retired with going to hit spots?
I just pretty much hit almost everything I've wanted to see for the most part.
There's got to be a bucket list thing that you have not gotten to or that you want to hit. There has to be.
Oh, definitely. There's definitely a list, but like a top priority mission list. Pretty much checked most of it off.
Really?
There's one for the most part, but the main thing is my wingman's in Tulsa. So part of it was one thing seeing it, but it's who you're there with. Again,
Absolutely.
Those memories of doing it and finding it with the person and experiencing that, and going out for coffee or whatever, or showing other people. So that was the main thing. So since my wingman's over in the other side of the country, that's kind of subsided a bit. But there's still a few places I still trying to want to nail down.
Like what?
And I was trying to think the other day. Someone asked me the same question. In Heat, there's a part where Al Pacino and all the guys in his police squad are eating dinner with their wives and all that. And the backstory to that location is supposedly the director, Michael Mann, said it's a location where on, say, Fridays, cops would go there, and then on Saturdays, gangsters would go there. They had like designated nights, so they wouldn't butt heads and deconflict. So I've met the location scout that did that movie a few times, and even he doesn't know.
Really?
When we talked to the people that were trying to track down these locations, they were there, and they're like, you ask them, and they're like, I don't know. It was in downtown LA. You're like, well, that doesn't really help me.
Man.
So I've heard this story, through the grapevine, and there's been a couple of cops I know that think they know where it is, but when you try to match it up, it's nothing like that. So I'm still trying to get real good evidence of where this place was, or if it even existed. Personally, I've been thinking through the years that whatever, they had a couple of different police technical advisors for that movie. Yeah. And some guys like to embellish, see some bullshit stories. It might be a granular truth, and that sounds great. Like, oh yeah, there's this restaurant, and on Fridays the cops, and then on Saturday. So I'm thinking it's veering toward that as the years go by. This guy was just, telling some good stories. Yeah, embellished a bit. So, but it's all about the hunt. It still goes on. So.
It is, man. Like, and that's what like before, once again, before we started recording, like what I want to try. I mean, obviously the people that are already in the group and are familiar with what we do, they might have heard these stories before. They might have heard me repeat myself just now, like I did on Danny Boys or whatever. But the thing I want to try to do is have everyone who listens, like, get this out there, like maybe spark something, like because it goes back to me. As a little kid, I'm into this kind of stuff, but I don't know what to do with it. I don't know where to put it. I don't know, you know what I'm saying? So It's an outlet, and, and it's not just like you just said, it's like part of the hunt. Like obviously you got to be interested and you got to love this stuff for whatever reason, whether it's nostalgic value or you're just into true crime or movies, whatever it is. But the hunt and trying to, and if something is a real pain in the ass and something that you don't think, like there's one thing that even Mona is not sure where it is. I have a Delta Bravo folder in my phone, and it's the last one in the phone. It's been there for like 3.5 years, and I still don't know where it is. It's somewhere in the 5 boroughs. But once I find that, it's going to be like, it makes it that much better. It's like the thrill of the hunt type shit. And then, you know, it's going out. It's like who you're with and all the things, the whole experience of it. You might find yourself in a restaurant you never would even think about going to because you're in a completely different state or town or neighborhood. And next thing you know, it's like, wow, like we're going to come here more often. And then once you're over there, you know, you go on your phone and you find it and there's something else over there. And it just becomes like this whole big mission. And it's not just the actual hit and the mashup. It's everything that goes on behind the scenes that I think is great as well. And people, I think, don't realize that for whatever reason.
Yes.
Who don't do this.
Yes. One of my favorite things about you is how you spurred that into your daughter. And then you had her going out on missions and then giving you information. I want to do this, hit this place. And then, and so, I mean, that bond that you form, like I did with my old man, that's money in the bank. I mean,
yeah, man, she's still
being engaged with your family, friends, and your surroundings is so fulfilling as opposed to going to a store, ordering something on Amazon, and just getting that quick dopamine of, you know, it's building those relationships. That's what counts. Yeah,
man. Like go out and jump on the train with my daughter and go into the city. She loves the West Village. She walks around. She loves it down there. And she'll tell me, she's like, Dad, I want to go to Jim's house. I'm like, oh, yeah? I'm like, you've been there a million times. I don't care. I want to go by Jim's house, meaning Jim Carroll. At DiCaprio played in Basketball Diaries. So, you know, and she was super excited when we were standing outside. It was starting to pour rain. It was raining. And we were underneath like this little canopy from one of the restaurants that had their outdoor seating area. So we're like underneath this shanty waiting for the rain to subside, and there's a guy who's up the stairs and he's like at the door, and I'm like, I'm looking at him and he looks at me and he goes, Mike, are you Mike? I'm like, no, I'm not Mike. I'm like, what's up? He's like, oh no, I'm about to show an apartment in here. And it was in the building where where DiCaprio and Lorraine Bracco lived in the movie. So
like, oh, Mike, you mean Michael? Yes, I'm Michael.
Yeah, no.
Nice to meet you.
Right. So I was like, nah, but I was like, yo, do you mind? Can you let me in there? And I showed him. I was like, listen, this movie was filmed here, blah, blah, blah. He's like, oh yeah, sure. And he let me and my daughter in, and there's that horrible scene where DiCaprio's banging on the door and cursing out his mother, and she won't let him in, and she's crying, and he's all junked up. But we pinned it out. I'm like, I put it on YouTube and I'm showing my daughter and she's like, she had like this moment of like, I can't believe I'm actually standing at that door where this crazy scene was filmed in one of her favorite movies. And like, she'll never forget that, you know, she'll never forget that.
And that's pretty hardcore material too. So it's
brutal.
It's like us and me in the fifth grade doing a report on the Helter Skelter book by Bugliosi. So she's going to have an interesting, very mature outlook on life as she's into that stuff, which I respect.
Yeah, she has like an old soul, this kid. I want to go to the Titanic Museum. She's into the Titanic, and which is awesome. You know, Dad, I want to go on vacation. All right, it's up to you. Where do you want to go? Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. What? Never even heard of it. I'm like, why Pigeon Forge? It's like, because I want to go to the Titanic Museum. Really? First thing I thought of, like, first of all, why is a Titanic Museum in Tennessee in a landlocked state? That's just weird. But she hit me to a whole bunch of stuff. There's like the Alcatraz Crime Museum is there. I had a ball. I think I had more fun than she did, and it was on her recommendation.
Amazing.
Yeah, she was like 10 years old at the time. It's like, I want to go to a museum. No Disney, no nothing, no. Museum. Okay.
Oh, later for Disney. Yeah.
Torture.
Yeah.
Oh, brutal.
But it's great. Yeah, you planted those seeds and now the flowers have bloomed. So
yeah, man. And
then the same thing with what you're doing with Delta is we planted those seeds and then you guys have flowers and you're pushing it now. It's a forest and now you guys are cultivating it and pushing it out with a podcast and much respect to you. And you know, there's always been every couple of year or so, 2 years, there's a new crop of guys and you've took that torch and ran with it, and hats off to you and Sean and Danny and all the guys that are putting in some major work on it. It was without you, it just go by the wayside. So
much respect. Yeah, Mustard. I got to give Danny Johnson a shout out because that dude, man, that guy's out of control sometimes. Like I see all the stuff like, does this kid have a job? But then I thought about it. I was like, yeah, well, he travels for his job, which is a beautiful thing. I wish, you know, but yeah, man, it's, you know, like I do this because I love it. And before COVID, I think it was right before COVID, like all the lockdowns and stuff, I had a whole group chat on Facebook with like, I think you were there and you and Mona and Danny. And I came up with the idea, not like I'm, you know, planting seeds, but, you know, breaking new ground. But I put it out, like I'm thinking about doing some sort of a podcast, like why not? And then it kind of fell by the wayside because of everything that was going on in the world and everyone's life and whatever. And then I re-kicked it off and here we are. Because I legit love doing this stuff. And I know that there was in the past a Delta Bravo show where you guys did a podcast, better production than this. I mean, you had multiple cameras in the studio. I don't have that, but I mean, how did that happen and why did that die?
That was a pretty special time for Delta.
That looked awesome, dude.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was a good time doing it. And we got that through, she's kind of like almost like the godmother of Delta, or for Danny and I, Lenora Claire. She's just an amazing woman, and she's very generous with her connections. So Danny was on there as a guest on her show that she did at the time. And she said, you guys should have, do what you're doing, your Delta Bravo thing, you guys should have a show. And she introduced us to the guy who owned, it was called T Radio V, radio and TV, that was his hook. And he liked the pitch. And he said, yeah, let's get you guys on the air. So we just used it as a vehicle to invite, some of the people we wanted to meet, some of our favorite, pop culture heroes and what have you.
Sure.
And we did, and it was amazing, And back then, and we even had Susie Hinton, who wrote The Outsiders, who now, Danny Boy has the Outsiders House Museum. She came on she did a phoner for us. So we went way back. So we had, CFO did a phoner when Darren Dalton, one of the socias, was on the show.
Randy.
And so this is way before the museum. And so it was very special. And unfortunately, we only were able to capture like a very limited amount of episodes to put onto YouTube. So it was kind of pre all that stuff. And we didn't have, even though it was super professionally done, to download all those episodes. They didn't archive a lot of those, unfortunately. But we got a good handful. So
yeah. There's still a YouTube channel up. I mean, this YouTube page, Delta Bravo Mission Statements. I subscribe to two things: my old podcast YouTube thing and the Delta Bravo show. And were you part? I think the one that has the most amount of views by like a long shot. Were you part of the whole drone thing with looking at the pool from Fast Times? Not Fast Times. Yeah, Fast Times.
Yeah, Fast Times of Richmond High. Yeah, I think I'm listed as the technical advisor on that. I think that and a Lakota video, Weesh. It's that was filmed at the Wave Cave, going back to Manson. Everything comes back to Uncle Charlie, man. So I was in on that caper. That was a fun one. And that was like when drone just started kicking off. So
that's early. Yeah, that was, I mean, you could buy a drone anywhere now, but that's several years back when they were kind of hard to come by. And it's super professionally done. Like, that's awesome. If anyone is unfamiliar, there's a Delta Bravo YouTube page, and they take a drone, and it's like the first time ever since the filming wrapped up that anyone has ever seen the famous pool from Fast Times at Ridgemont High. And yes, that shit is like, you watch it now, it looks like it was done yesterday, the way it's shot.
We credit that to the guy named Mark Higgins, who's a great photographer and video guy. He did a lot of work with Dropkick Murphy, so we made friends with him in Boston, and he helped us out with that. So that's all the credits on him. And but yeah, I think it looks great. And the comments when it first kicked off, people were like, "Oh, you're invading people's privacy." You know, it was this whole drone thing. Now it's, you know, people see drones overhead, like whatever. You know, but before it was like an alien spaceship. Like, oh my God, what is that thing? What's that sound? And how dare you put that over someone's house? And now it's like, come on, you know, we're all being filmed 24/7. You just don't know it or not. And so yeah, that was pretty controversial when it dropped. So that was a good time for sure.
Listen, it's still up there, and it has, I don't know, half a million views, maybe even more.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy. It's pretty freaking cool.
Yeah. Yes, and but to go back to the Delta Bravo show to answer your question, so that's how it started, and how it ended was, I want to say it's been some years now, but the guy that owned it might have been a little shady, and then ended up selling it. So it was some kind of behind the scenes thing that we weren't privy to, but yeah, it was a little weird situation, maybe with the guy overextended himself financially. It was a legit studio.
Yeah, it was beautiful, man. The way it's like Rogan shit.
Yeah. I think it was before Rogan really G'd off and had a proper studio.
Yeah,
it was better than that. And you know, Dave Navarro had a show in there, Slim Jim, the guy that played Rudy, Sean Astin. I forgot which guest we had on, but
Diane Franklin was on. Didn't you have Mike Damone was on, wasn't he?
Did we have Damone? We might have. Yeah, we did have.
I think
Robert Romanus, aka Mike Damone, whose brother was in Mean Streets. But we were chopping it up after a show. I forgot which guest we had on, and Sean Astin, who was played Rudy in the famous football movie. He comes storming out of one of the studios. He was doing like a drop or whatever, and he starts screaming on Danny. And Sean Astin's like, 4'8" on a good day.
He's a little guy. It's Mikey. He's Mikey from fucking the Goonies.
Yeah. He thought he was the Jolly Green Giant that day, and Danny wasn't having it. His blood sugar must have been low or whatever. And I thought World War III was going to erupt right there. And we had to put on the consigliere hat on.
Yeah. Why is it? First of all, I mean, you don't have to get to be. Why is he starting to scream on somebody like Danny, who towers him by 6 feet?
It's like those little dogs that are barking at the biggest dog. They just don't realize that a little dog, and they can get squashed.
Yeah.
So he was that little dog, barking on the big dog, literally. And Danny was gonna, pop his melon. He's good with his hands, and he's got a quick temper.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget that one. I'm like, it was so surreal. I'm like, Rudy's yelling at Danny boy. It was like,
and
then
strange.
This guy could kill him, and he doesn't know who I am, and we didn't do anything wrong. Number one.
Yeah.
And he had a show, so it was a whole cast of characters there. So nice. it was a great time to do that.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, it was a good time.
So what do you have? You obviously you're busy, you're working. I won't put it out there, but I'm glad you're feeling better. Are you are you doing your yearly little trip into the city?
I should be out there by you in Thanksgiving. Yeah.
All right. Good.
Out there.
Good. Yeah. So when you come in, we gotta link up and sit down and have
some spots.
Yeah. I want to hit some spots. Put your thinking cap on, because I have
hit some Jerky Boys spots
from the movie.
Yeah, remember that one?
Let's do it. Yeah, of course I remember that one. Yeah, let's do it.
Old neighborhood.
Have you ever hit Jerky Boy spots?
I want to say no.
All right, so let's hit Jerky Boy spot.
I think one person might have hit one spot, but I'm not certain on that.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Let's go on a mission. 100%. Put your thinking cap on. I have like 200 and something pictures in my folder that of things that I still yet to hit, and their majority are all around the city. So you come up with whatever you want, man, and we'll go and friggin' hit it. As long as you have an afternoon or whatever, we'll go hit a couple spots. Go grab a bite to eat somewhere in some weird neighborhood.
Yes, I'd love to.
Yeah.
somewhere in Garrettson Beach or someplace I haven't been. You remember that movie? Did you ever see? Just thinking about Garrettson for some reason.
Yeah, why
No
Garrettson Beach of all places?
Oh, She's the One with Ed Burns. You know, do you like any Ed Burns movies?
I don't know if
It's kind of like the
I
Irish
might have
Scorsese.
seen it. I don't know if I've ever seen it. I might have, but I don't know.
It's like a good movie to watch with your girl. You know, it's kind of like a romantic comedy, but done from like a New York guy perspective of, you know, from our generation.
Okay.
So he's Ed Burns was a director. His old man was an NYPD cop, and he's kind of like he's a Long Island guy. So he did like the Long Island trilogy. He did like 3 movies, but a lot of it's filmed in Queens and Brooklyn.
Okay.
So, good stuff. You'll dig it. You know, watch it.
All right. So you want to hit a spot from She's the One. It's in Garrettson Beach?
Yeah, I've never really been to Garrettson Beach. I'm like thinking of like neighborhoods, like those little enclaves, like in like Rockaway, was it Broad Channel? Like those little weird places that
Broad Channel is weird, like all like Reese Park, like I had a couple of spots in Rockaway. The movie Radio Days with Woody Allen.
Great movie.
Yeah, I was actually when I was a kid, it was filmed in 86, I think, or 87. When I was a little kid, I lived literally around the block. I remember when they were filming it. Like they transformed the whole block with all the old cars and stuff like that. So the main reason why I went back to do it is because it's nostalgia for me. Like, wow, like I remember when they filmed this. Like I was like 10 years old, and I remember that was on 115th Street, Beach 115th. And even in the movie, he says Beach 115th Street, and it was true to, you know, the movie. And I lived on 114th between the beach and Rockaway Beach Boulevard. So I had to go hit that spot just because of nostalgia, because it brought me back to when I was a little kid. But yeah, there's a bunch of little weird, there's Broad Channel, and there's another, I know it's Reese Park. There's a little weird one. Garrettson Beach is weird because there's really there's no public transportation except for like one bus. There's no train. Right. So it's a little off the beaten path, but I don't care, jump in the car, jump in the truck, or whatever. But yeah, man, let's get some weird, obscure. I never hit a spot in Garrettson Beach, so let's do it.
Yeah,
I'm all in.
Yes,
I'm all in, my man. Anything else going on? Anything else you want to smarten these kids up about?
Yeah, I mean that's these kids. It's way smarter than us. If there's anyone younger than us, there's the kids nowadays. Everyone's bigger, faster, smarter, stronger, and they're doing it. They're doing it. We just got to, you know, maybe show them a little bit of a direction, and they're off like your daughter.
True.
And, that's the next generation is here, and they're pushing it forward. So
let's hope for the best.
Yes, I'm an optimist. Keep that PMA.
Yeah.
But
and I won't get into it, but if people don't know, and everybody has Netflix, watch what is it, The Haunting at the Cecil Hotel. Right?
Yeah, crime scene, The Vanishing at the Cecil Hotel.
The Vanishing at the Cecil Hotel. And you might see my friend Knocko make a couple of little Two Tree cameo appearances on there.
Yeah, Two Tree, you know.
Yeah, a couple Two Tree appearances. Yeah. I had no idea you were on that until I'm watching it. I'm like, that's Knocko. Like, what the fuck? Yeah. Very cool. Very cool, man.
Yeah, very surreal.
Bugged out. But yeah, so hopefully you'll be in on Thanksgiving time, and we'll go and we'll do those things. And as always, man, it's always a pleasure to talk with you, and I'm glad you're feeling better. And
yes,
yeah, and I definitely have to throw out my sponsors.
I got the cruise crud from going to your old hometown in Alaska.
Yo, that's right. You were just recently in Alaska.
Yeah, your old hometown, right? We used to get mail up there.
Yeah, I that was at one point. That was my my mailing address was in Alaska. It was a PO box on an Air Force base, but absolutely. Would you go on a cruise?
Yeah, me and my gal went on a cruise. So when you're in a cruise, you're mixed up with a whole bunch of people eating, garbage food. Not keeping your proper hours regimen. So
yeah,
felt like crap afterwards. So. But anyway, yeah, it was great. So Alaska, and it's funny, that you lived up there. when guys would at work, they would they would introduce ourselves or whatever to you'd meet new people at work, and obviously they would hear the New York accent, like, oh, yo, you from New York? Like, no, I'm from Alaska. And they're like, cock the head, Alaska. So I'm sick of saying, yeah, I'm from New York.
Of course,
go through the whole shtick or whatever. So I would just say, yeah, I'm from Anchorage. Like, really? Like, wow, that doesn't sound like a Alaska accent. I would, keep a good poker face and all that.
of course.
And so I'd have a whole backstory of, they were like, hey, well, how did you get to LA? And then I would go through the whole thing with the weather and what have you. So
yeah.
In a way, I lived in Alaska too, Jim. So we got
there. You go. Too. I was never on a cruise. I was always landlocked. I was never on the water. But Alaska is absolutely beautiful, man.
Yes. Explore Alaska. Hit every state. You got to go. And then after you hit all the states, hit all the territories. Go to U.S. Guam.
Yeah.
U.S. Samoa, that's on the list. I mean, it's crazy when you think about it. When I was up in Alaska, talking about exploring, and guys that really did explore of how they made these treks all across the world and the most non-permissive environments. And it's crazy to think that this was Russian land, and then we bought it not that long ago.
Right.
And somehow this is part of America.
Yeah.
And we have 50 states and all these and territories as well. And
with attached to Canada, it's like, it's weird.
Yeah, and it's like those people have nothing in common with the people in Brooklyn, and the people in Brooklyn have nothing in common with Hawaii, but yet we're all U.S. Americans, and we had that link to us. So it's like, the moral of the story is find the links, find the commonalities, forget about what makes us different. Right. It doesn't matter. Right. Pull the thread and look for that and build that bridge, and you'll be way better off in life with that.
100%. I don't think there's a better way to end this. Except I have to shout out my sponsors real quick.
Yes, Dead Sled.
Yeah, Dead Sled Coffee. Follow them on Instagram at Dead Sled Coffee. If you go to deadsledcoffee.com and you type in the promo code Delta Bravo, you will get 20% off of your order. And I'm gonna be chiseling away and hopefully making something happen for maybe the Outsider's house or something like that. It's maybe its own special brew or something like that, which would be cool. Which would be really cool. Help out the museum, and plus, who doesn't like a nice cup of coffee? You know what I mean? And
Absolutely.
Also, Main Street Jukebox, record store located in Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. Been a store since 1994. Tom, the owner, is a fellow Delta Bravo team member. And you follow them on Instagram as well at Main Street Jukebox. It's MAINST Jukebox. And go to mainstreetjukebox.com and check out their stuff. And if you're in the area in Pennsylvania or the surrounding tri-state area, and you find yourself over there, you pop in, you buy a nice record or two or treat them.
Yes, Tom's a very generous guy.
Yeah.
Very well read, awesome dude. I want to get out there one day myself. Yeah. And meet him in person.
Yeah, so. Same here. I'm not too far from, and I find myself in Pennsylvania kind of pretty often. So next time I trek out that way, I'll pop in there and shake the guy's hand and meet him in person. But he's another Delta Bravo guy, and he supports the podcast, and, pay it forward, man. Support those who support you.
And his place is kind of like the Outsider's house, like whatever band that's in the area, they always stop off there and pay homage to him. So you don't know, stop by and you might see some of your favorite, rock musicians. So
you never know. And I need to touch on it. You're also a co-host of the Armbar Podcast. What's up with your Armbar Podcast? How did that escape me until just now?
Yeah. It's we do focus on three topics. Anything that's armed forces related, martial arts related, or first responder related. We have guests in. We just texted one of our buddies, Billy from Biohazard, Billy Graziadei.
Yeah.
And he's a black belt in Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. So he's been on the show before. So we got that, that New York kinship, martial arts, punk rock, hardcore scene. So we're gonna have him back on. He's got a new record. So just another fun thing to, again, bridge the gap, get people that you don't normally hear from and give them different perspective in life. And we have a great time with it. And
awesome. So you guys are on Instagram too.
Yes. Yeah. Just go to the link in my Instagram bio. All the information's on there.
There you go.
Same thing. And yeah, just type in the Armbar Podcast and check us out and see if you like it.
And you're on Instagram at Knocko_.
Correct.
That's it. Not KNOCKO_. If those, if cats aren't hip yet. But
Thank you.
yeah, 100%, man. And dude, thank you again for your time. And keep feeling well. Be safe out there. Of course, be safe out there in your line of work. You have savages and animals out there, so just be careful, man.
And animal.
Animal, yeah. We don't have to be animal anymore.
No,
Stop acting like an animal. It ain't cool.
no. But yeah, but just to reiterate again, thank you for having me on. It's a real honor and privilege, especially after coming up from Danny Boy and then our beloved brother Steve Mone after that, and all the guests that you're going to have after that.
Yeah,
I'll be tuning in. I love it, what you're doing and propelling it from what you're doing, and then the generation after that with your daughter, and then keep it pushing.
Yeah.
Keep on exposing people and spreading the love. So
if you build it, they will come. If you build it, they will come. Rest in peace, Ray Liotta.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. My man, thank you so much, brother.
Anytime.
Talk to you soon.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers.